We were first deployed down to Fort Belvoir, where we practiced all the stuff that you they think you're going to need to do. And I remember how upset one of those active duty people got with us because we insisted on Sunday having church. We had church, but they made us work till like 9 o'clock that night because they had not wanted us to take the time out for church on Sunday morning, but we did it. So we practice all the things that you think you're going to do, including if you were attacked by gas masks and putting on all that equipment and being able to drink and eat. And it's interesting. I had to, people can be so helpful for you. There was always somebody wanting to help me, but I said, no. If I get caught out alone, I won't have any help. But once we got over there, we had to set up the hospital. After we did that a few times and they found out the units moved faster than the troops moved faster than MASH units could do. We combined with the Combat Support Hospital, which was that big general hospital. A Combat Support Hospital backs up, it's like a Walter Reed, but it's in the field. So we combined with them, and I worked with the active duty nurse, and she and I were in charge of all the nursing staff. And we actually did surgery. In fact, one of our anesthetists was the first one to give, one of the DC Guard anesthetists was the first one to give anesthesia in that hospital.
So you were working, overseeing men and women in the field,
right,
in nursing?
Yes, and we had an intensive care unit, we had an operating room, we had general med surg units.
So you mentioned that when you were doing the drills or preparing, people were upset because you took time for church. How did you deal with your faith through that? How did your faith uplift you or help you through it? And how did you do active things with your faith?
Faith was very uplifting. And we actually had a wonderful chaplain who was the associate pastor at People's Congregation Church. And
in D.C.?
Yes.
In D.C.?
Yeah, he was at that time.
And he was in the Guard?
Right. And he was a lieutenant, and some of the senior officers of the other race would kind of not, look down on him and wouldn't. But he was a wonderful chaplain. We had services every Sunday. We had special services. We had an Ash Wednesday services, and he did, the ashes, and we took a piece of paper, something that we wanted to get rid of forever at the Asbury. He took them and put them in a little container and burned them. And he found palms for Palm Sunday, and I remember it was like 100 something degrees that day, and an ice cream truck came by, and they only sold pipes of ice cream, so we bought a pint native. Easter Sunday morning, just like every other Sunday, there were some white surgeons we had never seen at church before. When we got there Easter Sunday morning, they were all lined up on the back row, just like they sitting up there, just as nice as anything, like they had been coming to church every Sunday morning.
So Easter was a big day there as well.
Right, yes. And I made Easter dinner. I told people, we had MREs. I had asparagus and carrots and some other cans. You have to get your own MRE ham and bring it if you want to have Easter dinner. I would have the vegetables, we'd have saved cookies and stuff like that. So we had an Easter dinner.
So your Easter dinner was all MREs?
Yes.
And say what MREs are for some
meals ready to eat in the military.
So it wasn't perhaps as tasty as one at home, but you still had an Easter meal?
We still celebrated, yes. Yes, but we had church service every Sunday morning. And I had people laughing. We had these little benches, boards on cinder blocks. If you didn't get up in unison, the last person, the people who got left got dumped. so
that's where you were sitting in service.
That's where we were sitting in church. So we was like, okay, is everybody ready? I told people know about me, Asbury look at me and they say, oh, you go to Asbury. I said, yes, but I have been churches of all kinds of churches. I said, they say, where 2 or 3 are gathered around a flagpole, sitting on wooden benches, it doesn't matter if it's what you're there for, so to worship, and that's what we did.
Why was it important for you to worship in the midst of all of that?
Well, I think, it was part of my support and strength, this is said, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. That was one of the Bible verses that I remembered that helped me through that. And one of those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. So we were out there waiting somewhere. You just waited because, military is good at that, making you get up, hurry up, and go somewhere, and then you just sit.